Thanks, Paul. And Jeremy, I appreciate you giving me this hour to talk about the city's operating budget, changes we made, and how it will affect the capital. Now, first off, Jeanette, one more round. You're giving me hope. Paul's right. I was bound with optimism until they built that bike lane. Just sucked it right out of me. No. Honestly, when you hear her speaking, isn't it like you can vision it and this is what Pittsburgh can be and we can do it? Do you want to go on this ride? Because we can do this. What she's talking about is very doable for the city of Pittsburgh. And the history that she was talking about New York and other cities is not that much different than Pittsburgh's history. A little bit different, and I'll give the edited version that is also may be or may not be historically correct. But, you know, back in the day around, 1760s, well, actually before that, before 1753, a young major from the Virginia militia came tromping across the Laurel Highlands, and he was told he had to figure out how to build a road from Fort Necessity down to where the French were, down at the point. And his name was George Washington, and he put down and he got through the woods and followed some trails and built what we now know as Penn Avenue and Route 30. And took it all the way down there. And then that road served and started to build where areas of Bloomfield are, the liveries and the food for what would become Fort Pitt. But at that point, people started to understand they were sick of getting flooded out of Fort Pitt, and plus they needed to move. So they started to move out of those borders. And they went up along the Allegheny River and they started to build along Penn Avenue, Liberty Avenue, and creating a street grid. And then somebody else said, hey, I don't want to be there. I'm going to go over to the Mon. I'm going to create my own street grid, and it's going to go this way. And they created this really confusing street grid that really doesn't make sense. And if you build a city anytime, you'd never have built it that way. But we still have it today. And we went with it, for a long time. And it was the best we had because really we were an industrial city, and all the way down to the point where mills, and there was just a lot of industry that was happening along the wharves, and everything that was happening was based around how we were producing big steel and about industry and getting that product to market, because that's really what it was all about, whether it was the rivers or the roads or the railroads. How did you get big steel to market in order to be able to keep this region's economy growing? And then in 1945, the city elected a guy named David Lawrence. And David Lawrence, who was born down in that area of the point where George Washington built his road and where he built out those crazy grid systems, said, we got to do a lot of work here, folks, because our future is not going to be based upon our past. And he set out and he created the first idea of how our road should be changed since the 1780s. And of course, back in that idea, everything was big demolition, knock it all down, build wide roads, make sure those wide roads then go to big bridges, build big bridges, take it to tunnels, then build highways out of the tunnels. And the people did. And they left. Companies left and went to office parks. Businesses left and went to different areas around districts that were built upon these roads that they went off. And the people left. And they started to build out and further out and further out as we continue to invest in a strategy that saw sprawl and decline become part of our DNA. Today, we changed that. Today, we announce a new program called Envision Downtown. This is my whole speech. 2 words, Envision Downtown. Today, we make a commitment to do what Jeanette had talked about, and we don't just say we're going to do it, but in the next 5 years, the city will invest $35 million to start to see these plans become a part of it. And here's the best part. You know who's going to decide what we do? You. We're going to have a community process over these next 5 years to figure out how we can make our streets not a part of an industrial age, not a part of the age that saw sprawl and decline, but of the age that's going to bring the people from the suburbs back in, not just the kids, but their parents too, ones that will want to live downtown, businesses that want to be downtown, and we're going to connect it to Oakland. The second and the third largest employment centers in all of Pennsylvania. That promise that has always been talked about how we make it all happen together, we now announce this as part of Envision's Downtown's mission as well. And we include the people who live there, the people who have businesses there, and the people who have a love of the city of Pittsburgh. And we build out the complete streets model. How we can make it easier for motorists to get around. Left-hand turn signals. Maybe taking out some of the parking on the street in order to be able to have traffic flow better. We look at public transit because over half of the city's workforce gets to downtown by either the T or by a bus. And we make sure that accessibility for them is put at the forefront while creating a new network of systems so that it works more efficiently, more effectively, and more equitably. The bike lane system continues to grow, and it goes from the Mon River Trail down to the Allegheny Trail. In the city of Pittsburgh, not Indianapolis, becomes the greatest bike system between New York and Chicago. And we make sure that it is being built for people who are walking, so that every intersection gives you the opportunity that you don't have to worry anymore about playing dodgeball, but that you can do it safely and cross the street, whether you're abled or you're a person with needs. Somebody where audible signals aren't just on a few corners, but on every corner, and where there is access for everyone to be able to get along. And then we sprinkle it on top with partnerships, whether it's through the county in the Port Authority with our county executive, or Carnegie Mellon, the University of Pittsburgh, and our colleges with the technology that goes beyond what any city is doing today and utilizing it to make the whole system work better. Today we announce this. We will be announcing in the next few weeks the committee that will be put together, and this summer we'll be starting our first meetings. But as Jeanette talked about, if we go through the regular way of getting things done, 5 years from now we'll have a budget and we'll still be going through the process. Instead, 5 years from now, we want to see what that promise is and actually have it done. The $35 million is the seed money. It is the money that we're going to go to the corporate community and ask to be a part and to join us. It's the money that we're going to go to the foundation community, to the county, to the state, and yes, to the federal government, and to have that to be the match funds in order to do the things that we need to do. For so long, we've all looked at a certain intersection and said, why don't they change that light? Why don't they take away those two parking spots? Why don't we have that bus that makes that left-hand turn, then that left-hand turn just go straight to the next intersection where there's a left-hand turn signal? And yet we've always done it the same way, treating the symptoms and not the problem. The problem is that we have to have a holistic approach in order to create a downtown that can be vibrant and not just make little changes around the edges, but create a multimodal structure of transportation. And that's what we're doing. Envision Downtown starts today.